KLCS spotlights the winners of the 2015 Video in the Classroom Awards in the Los Angeles Unified School District. This is the Video in the Classroom Showcase.
Our next Vic Award-winning entry shows how Dr. Melanie Andrews and some of her colleagues at 92nd Street Elementary were successful in introducing their students to the world of Shakespeare.
It's not unusual for kids to study Shakespeare in high school or in college, but it is unusual to study Shakespeare if you're 10 years old.
Welcome to our Shakespeare program and festival. I'm Ms. Johnson. This is
We got the idea of the Shakespeare classroom from the Old Vic Theater run by the Kevin Spacey Foundation. They gave us a little funds and off we went. 93rd Street Elementary School is a school with a great deal of love and a great deal of aspiration. The kids have a lot of challenges. We were 100% kids of color and 100% below the poverty line. But we're 100% committed to educating these kids any way we can.
Welcome, all ye lords and ladies. Today, we celebrate Shakespearean Day. He is 450 years old this year. He was one of the most famous playwrights and poets in the Western world. Today, we will celebrate his words, and his world with you.
So we started out by reviewing prologues, looking at the language, looking at plots.
Back in the olden days, they didn't have no cell phones, no video games, most of all, no television.
Oh, you little vision. Close your eyes and think of Elizabethan festival. And you need to learn to jump.
Then we do this silly little play called Romeo and Juliet Sped Up, which covers the plot of Romeo and Juliet, which is very complicated. Kids love it.
And the Capulets had a daughter called Juliet.
Romeo was in love with his girlfriend Rosamund.
That was until he saw Juliet. What?
Romeo and Juliet fell in love and got married.
Dun, 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 dun. One day, Tyrone went to go costume for the Montagues.
And when he did, Marquise was not happy and fought Tyrone.
Tyrone won. The friar gave her away to get out of the wedding.
Take this poison the night before your wedding, and it will appear that you are dead.
Charming.
I haven't finished yet. You will appear dead, but the effects of the poison will run off and you will wake once more.
Yes.
Oh, write to Romeo and tell him the plan you will join him and live happily ever after.
And just as planned, everyone believed that Juliet was dead.
He had drunk the poison that he had brought on the way to see Juliet's body.
But the poison was real, and it killed Romeo.
Just after Romeo had died, Juliet woke up.
Talk about bad timing. Shut up!
When Juliet seen Romeo's body, she couldn't take no more.
She found Romeo's knife and used it to take her own life.
The end of Juliet
Good grief. This Shakespeare guy knows how to tug at the old heartstrings. In fact, there never was a story of more woe than Juliet and her Romeo.
Two households.
And then we went into his actual words of the prologue, two households, both alike in dignity.
And fair Verona, where we laid our scenes.
From ancient grudge, raised to new mutiny, where civil blood made civil hands unclean. From forth of the fatal loins of these two foes,
The other part that the kids liked were Macbeth. So we have witches and Lady Macbeth.
Hark their cries, 'tis time, 'tis time. Double, double, toil and trouble. Fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. Filet, snake in a cauldron, boil and bake. I am you and toe of frog. Wool of bat and tongue of dog. Agate, fart, and blackbird sting. Double, double, toil and trouble. Fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. Here comes Lady Macbeth.
Hark, she speaks. Out there and spot, who was that old man so much blood in him? The smell of blood is still here. Will these hands ever be clean again?
And then we did a short scene with Lady Macbeth and the candle, which the kids chose and put together on their own.
Beyond my practice, go. You have known what you should not know.
To bed. But wait, they're knocking at the gate. To bed, to bed, to bed.
The students researched the quotations that they thought were most valuable, and they performed some of those.
Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. If the music be the food of love, play on. To thine own self be true. Better 3 hours early than 1 minute late. What's done can be undone.
And we ended with the speech of all the world's the stage.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
Wait, hold on. Look, I can juggle.
Keep working. Oh goodness, what fools these mortals be.
The other thing we did that was really unique in the spirit of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, is we put the kids into research groups with their books and their iPods, and how would this fit into the 16th century or Shakespeare's time? And they came up with some original ideas. For science, they looked at medicine, because that fits under science. They used glycerin, which existed during that time, to make giant bubbles, which they used in festivals.
They don't blow. We need more glycerin.
And they discovered that when Henry VIII got sick, he blamed it on his wives and said they were witches. And most of the time, except for those queens, witches are older, poor, single women, or women that don't know how to keep their mouths shut. But I digress. The technology group looked at things that were created for war. So they got some samples from the 99-cent store, they made some posters, and they showed the other kids how the shields were made and the different protectors and the swords and the crowns were made as a result of technology.
Engineering is the science of building. And the castle, like the soldiers and the...
Engineering is the process of building, so the kids and their parents actually built a castle.
We're letting you put the soldiers anywhere you want in the castle, but when you're finished, we're gonna get them out, like put them back in the bucket.
And they researched castles, and the kids were able to tell the other kids watching what all the rooms were for and why it was built in such a way so that it was there to protect the inhabitants. And they got little army men and furniture and shared with the students what castle life was like.
What's the bathroom?
The bathroom is right here.
And then they added to that catapults so that kids could practice how a catapult worked as part of their engineering assignment. For art, they reviewed the Renaissance artists of the time. So we did Michelangelo and Raphael. And we had the kids look at those two artists and find characteristics that they had in common and were different. And they decided that Michelangelo painted very active scenes from the Bible, and Raphael painted mostly women, portraits of wealthy people, and his portraits were very muted.
I like that one, and I like that one.
And then they created a game where they took some Michelangelo pictures and some Raphael pictures, and the kids had to decide based on what they heard. Was it Michelangelo or was it Raphael? I thought that was incredible. For the last one, we did math, and we compared British money of the 16th century to American money today.
And a soldier got a monthly salary of 60 pence. Now a loaf of bread is about $2.30.
About buying power, really, pence was a penny, and it was worth less than our penny now. A loaf of bread was 2 pence, and the kids said, you know, the bread my mom buys is $2.40, as they went through bread and horses and hotels and all the rest. And they created a game, a flipping game that all the other kids loved.
The king and the princess went to the field to go save Sir Joshua.
There was a lovely puppet show where the kids went through the elements of literature, exposition, complication, climax, and they wrote a show using 5 puppets in a really nice puppet theater. They wrote 4 or 5 shows, and then they put them together, and they decided which ones they were going to use.
And then with her father, she loved flowers.
And we had leapfrog, and we had bowling. It was just a lot of fun, and the kids learned a great deal about Shakespeare.
All the world's a stage.
I'm so proud of my fellow teachers, the administration, City Year, everybody that helped us, because these kids deserve everything every other kid has, and we are committed to Shakespeare for every kid. Because they're 10.
And now, let's meet Dr. Melanie Andrews, the producer of Shakespeare Full Steam.
Dr. Andrews, congratulations on your Vic Awards, and thank you for joining us today.
I am so excited. Congratulations, 93rd Street School, we won.
In your video, you mentioned that it's not typical for 10-year-olds to study Shakespeare. So how did that come about at 93rd Street?
Well, it was a weird little journey because I did this little workshop on projection, and I used the Shakespeare monologue. All the world's a stage and all the men and women, blah, blah, blah. And so the kids said, well, we don't understand that. So I started breaking down the words, and I thought to myself, we had just finished high school. Why not try this with little kids? And if we fail, we fail. But at least they'll have the experience. But we didn't fail. So what I do that's unique, instead of, we don't have the money or the time to go through all the Shakespeare, so we start with the prologues, which are just about a page long and tell the whole plot. And then the next thing we do is the words. And we were working on it, and kids were learning parts, and we're talking about the words. And when they figured out that William Shakespeare and Snoop Dogg had something in common, because I said William Shakespeare created metaphors, and they said, and I said, who do you know that creates metaphor? What's a metaphor? They said, somebody said, like, when Snoop Dogg said somebody was to the curb, that's a metaphor. I said, yes. And I thought, what the heck? And the teacher, Mrs. Johnson, who was my teaching partner, said, but I need to do a science project. And I said, why don't we figure out how we can do them both? And that's just how it started. Just that crazy and simple. I went to my board and asked for some money. They said, we don't have money for this. We talked to people. We ran into Kevin Spacey at some event and told him what we're doing. He says, hey, write me a letter, call my people. And luckily they sent us a couple $1,000. And that's $1 million in elementary money.
Wow, that's excellent. At what point and why did you decide to chronicle the event?
3 reasons, and I've thought of this answer. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video is worth 1,000,000. First of all, we realized, the teachers and I, that this was pretty remarkable and that nobody else was doing it, and we wanted to keep a record of it. Second, once the kids made their costumes and parents helped, and we borrowed costumes from any school that was doing Shakespeare, all the way up to Fresno, to get so that every kid had a costume that was close to authentic as possible. And the kids were saying, I want my mom to see it, I want my grandma to see it. And I said, why don't we put it on YouTube? And then the last thing was, this is something that teachers can replicate. And it took 10 minutes for them. I did it for a PD for like 300 teachers the other day. It took 10 minutes for them to get the idea just by looking at the video. It would have taken hours, and it would have been, they can't do it, how do you expect? But we showed them it could be done. So video was incredibly valuable. And I'll present this in London. I mean, that's crazy and wonderful.
What would you say is the benefit to those who get to experience the production solely through video?
For us, 93rd Street shined. 93rd Street, that does not always shine, but tries to shine. State Senator Isidore Hall, who represents our area, saw the video and honored us in the state Senate and gave all of us certificates, and all 120 kids got a certificate. So when I talked to him about it, I said, well, you know, it's a lot of certificates, you can just put all their names on it. He says, no, every single kid is gonna get a certificate. And they were so proud, and their parents were so proud. And I think that video did that, because he's not gonna come to 93rd Street and see what we're doing. And the fact that it went to London through BAFTA, and I was invited to take part in a project there, and the fact that I'm training other teachers, and those who say it can't be done, even in upscale schools, I'm showing them, yes, it can.
So congratulations again to you and the students at 93rd.
Thank you so much.
To learn more about the Video in the Classroom Awards, go to our website, klcs.org, and click on the Education tab. There you'll also learn how to go about producing your own classroom videos with our new online series, Hollywood Homeroom. Until next time, keep those cameras rolling.